So, guys, things are getting bad between the Trump administration and the ANC. And the reason why I'm saying the ANC and not South Africa per se is because I don't think that the Americans have a problem with us as the people of this country, but they have a problem with these thieving, corrupt ANC comrades that have been destroying this country for the past 30 years. I mean, when I heard that the comrades are taking Israel to the International Court of Justice and accusing Israel of committing a genocide, and the comrades are willing to spend billions and billions of rands on that, I was left baffled. I was left baffled to see Ramaphosa on television speaking about the human rights and how they are for the human rights while ignoring the human rights of South Africans. These people, they have the audacity to speak about the so-called genocide in Gaza, but they say nothing about the genocide that is happening here at home. Okay, fine. I know. I know that there are people that will say, but Thomas, to say what is happening in this country, it is a genocide. It is a bit extreme. Fine. Let's take it to the extreme. If you look at the number of people that have been slaughtered in this country, you look at the government response. What can you call it? Thousands and thousands of South Africans are killed every year. We are competing with the countries that are at war. And there are people that are willing to say that, no, there's no genocide in this country. The genocide in this country affects everybody. In this country, it doesn't matter if you are black, you are white, you are Indian, you are colored, you are Muslim. It doesn't matter. You can get killed at any time, and the higher chances are your family is not going to get justice because the response of the government has been pathetic. It has been pathetic. So what can we call it? What can we call it? I mean, look at Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa, as the president of this country, has been very weak to deal with the comrades that are stealing the resources that are supposed to help the people of this country. These people have been committing treason for how many years? They have been stealing the money that is supposed to build the water treatment system, and people are dying of cholera. Stealing the money that is supposed to build the toilets, and children are still dying in the pit toilets. These are some of the things that these comrades are doing. But somehow people are not willing to call a spade a spade. These people have committed treason, and there's a genocide in this country. This is what I'm willing to say. This is what I'm willing to say. And for these people to go all around, to be on television and to pretend to care about the human rights, like it is a joke. They don't care about the human rights of the people of this country, but they go around pretending like we care about the human rights. If these people actually cared about the human rights of South Africans, they would actually close the borders. They would protect the lives of the people of this country, but they have done nothing about the borders. Today, as we speak, we have millions and millions of illegal immigrants in this country. These people are committing heinous crimes, and they cannot even be charged because we don't even know who these people are. And this is what they expect South Africans to deal with. They want us to be okay with the fact that we are living with the people that we don't even know where they come from. If these people commit crime, we don't even know who are we going to report at the police. And the same South African police institution, it is a corrupted institution that is controlled by the drugs syndicate. It is a mess. So how can these people actually have the audacity to go out and start speaking about international matters, whereas they don't have their ducks in a row here at home? So right now, there's a bill that has been discussed in the United States. And if this bill comes into law, we might actually see this thieving, corrupt ANC comrades being sanctioned. We might see the assets of these people that they have obviously gotten fraudulently being frozen. And I know that there are a lot of people that are quite happy about it. So guys, I did a bit of research for us to actually try to understand what this bill is about. And I guess the only thing to look out for when it comes to this bill is how fast is it going to move, because the Americans are going to the midterms soon, and I don't think if the Republicans fail to maintain the House, this bill is still going to be a priority. So we're going to see how fast this bill is going to move. Because even in the United States, we know that this bill was opposed by the Democrats, and the Republicans actually voted for it, with a couple of Democrats voting for it. So the Democrats are not willing to stand on what the Republicans are saying. So if the Republicans lose the House in the upcoming midterms elections, then this bill is actually going to be pushed back. So this little research that I did, it says that A bill in the United States is moving forward that could lead to sanctions against some South African politicians and a review of the relationship between South Africa and the United States. You know, guys, this is what I hate so much, is because the ANC takes the position and they will say that this is the position of South Africa. The ANC will not say that the ANC is standing with Hamas. No, they will not say that, but they will say that South Africa is standing with Hamas. The ANC will not say that we are taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, but they will say South Africa is taking Israel to the International Court of Justice. I mean, thinking about it, man, it makes my blood boil. You remember how the president of this country and his useless officials were walking around with the Palestinian scarves and talking about we need to fight for the lives of the people in Palestine. We are going to do everything in our power to make sure that the lives of the people of Palestine are spared. But the same comrades are doing nothing about the lives of the people in this country. This is the kind of hypocrisy that we are talking about. It was an insult to me as a South African to know that our government is willing to spend millions and millions, if not billions of rands, to take Israel to the International Court of Justice, whereas there are people that are sleeping without food. This is the same thing that Ramaphosa is doing, walking around and talking about the national dialogue, the same national dialogue that is going to cost 700 million rands, when you have South Africans that are starving, when you have the people in this country that are going to bed without food. But this is where the comrades are choosing to spend their money. And if you think that this is popular, it is not. It is not. I remember before the elections, I was actually watching Dr. Sizompofu Walsh, and one of the things that he said is that, South Africa taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, no, the ANC, this might actually help the ANC in the upcoming elections. And they lost. They lost. Why? It's because South Africans, they don't care about this matter. They don't care about this matter. These people are pushing this matter down the throats of South Africans. But the honest truth is that South Africans are dealing with a lot here at home. They don't want to hear that their government is willing to spend the billions somewhere when we have the people that are starving here at home. It was quite laughable to listen to. So this little research, it says that a bill in the United States is moving forward that could lead to sanctions against some South African politicians and a review of the relationship between the U.S. and South Africa. The bill passed an important committee vote in Congress. It was introduced because some U.S. lawmakers are upset about South Africa's friendship with countries like China, Russia, Iran, and Hamas, as well as South Africa's actions like supporting a court case against Israel and reducing ties with Taiwan. The bill supporters say it's about holding South Africans accountable, not attacking the country, because they feel South Africa is moving away from being a U.S. ally. Man, the ANC have done everything in their power to move us away from the United States. And you look at the United States and you look at the companies that are operating in this country, you look at the number of the people that are employed by those companies. If the U.S. says that, okay, 30% of the companies that are operating in South Africa, they need to close down. Can you just imagine how many people are going to lose their jobs? Can you just imagine about it? The comrades, they don't care. The comrades, they don't care. So the key details of this bill, we are going to look at the key details of this bill. So the name of the bill, it is a U.S.-South Africa Bilateral Relationship Review Act of 2025. It was introduced on the 3rd of April 2025 by a Republican representative, Ronnie Jackson. And the purpose of the bill is to conduct a full review of South Africa relationship, of the U.S.-South Africa relationship, and to identify South African government officials and African National Congress leaders who could face sanctions like traveling bans and asset freezes. I mean, like, the comrades, they love a nice life. If somebody were to say that you guys are not allowed to travel to the West anymore, these people are going to lose their minds. They are totally going to lose their minds because they enjoy the softness that the West provides while staying with the people there in the East. This is how ridiculous the comrades are. Right now, as we speak, a lot of children from the comrades are studying there in the UK. They are studying in America. They are studying in the West. A lot of children. This is the reason why you will see the comrades taking the flights and going outside of this country when they need medical attention. I mean, speaking about the education, the comrades, that's why they don't care about the education system in this country. We are complaining about this rubbish education system that is teaching children absolutely nothing, and the comrades don't care. They don't care. Why? Because their children are not studying here. this is the same reason why they don't care about the state of our healthcare facilities, because whenever they are sick, they can take those government cards and fly anywhere else in the world to get medical attention. But somehow they expect you as South Africans to actually deal with the nonsense that we are dealing with. So guys, the reasons for this bill is that the number one, concerns over South Africa's close ties with China, Russia, Iran, and Hamas, which some US lawmakers see as anti-American. I mean, like, of course, man, you look at these countries, man, like America is not quite fond of these countries, China, Russia, Iran, and I don't even want to talk about Hamas, man. I don't even want to talk about Hamas. As a South African, I'm still pissed off that the ANC tried to make us to be like this with Hamas. I don't want to say anything about Hamas. So number two is South Africa's joint military exercise with China. So number three is about South Africa's downgrade of diplomatic ties with Taiwan. So guys, remember, this is something that was reported on the news, that South Africa has actually downgraded its diplomatic ties with Taiwan. So let's look at that a bit. So the background of that is that South Africa and Taiwan the background is that South Africa and Taiwan had official diplomatic ties until 1998, when South Africa switched to recognizing China under one China policy, which says Taiwan is part of China. Since then, they have kept their unofficial ties through the liaison officers that act like embassy. I mean, another hypocrisy that we are talking about. Every time when you listen to the ANC comrades, they will tell you that Israel does not want Palestine to exist. And we are standing against that, because Israel is acting like they don't want Palestine to exist. But right now, we have the same comrades that are supporting China when China says that Taiwan should not exist. This is the hypocrisy that we are talking about. This is what we are talking about. So the recent changes in 2024, South Africa told Taiwan to move its liaison office from Pretoria, the capital, to Johannesburg, a commercial city, and rename it a trade office. This makes the relationship seem less official and more business focused. The reason why it's happening is because China, South Africa's biggest trading partner, wants countries to limit ties with Taiwan to reduce Taiwan's international presence. South Africa's move is seen as following the China's influence. You know, guys, one thing I don't like honestly, one thing I don't like about our government officials, it's almost as if we don't have our own position on things. We are always being dog-walked by somebody else. We don't have our own official position on things. This is why when you see that case of South Africa taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, a lot of people will tell you that no, Iran is behind that. Iran has been giving these people a lot of money so that they can take Israel to the International Court of Justice. Right now, of course, South Africa actually moving like this, they have been pushed by China to say that you guys are on our side. So if you are on our side, then you have to say that Taiwan should not exist. And these are the same people that are accusing Israel and saying that Israel does not want Palestine to exist, but they are supporting a country that says that another country should not exist. Complete madness. Complete madness. So the Taiwanese response is that the Taiwanese protested, saying the demand is unfair and breaks a 1997 agreement allowing the offices to stay in Pretoria. Taiwan's foreign minister warned they might take actions like stricter visa rules for South Africans or limiting cooperation. So the stance of South Africa is that South Africa says the relocation reflects the non-political nature of the relationship with Taiwan. They initially set a deadline of October 2024, later extended it to March 2025, and have now backed off the deadline to negotiate further. So the impact of all of these things is that this could strain the trade and cooperation between South Africa and Taiwan. Some South African political parties and Western countries like the US criticized the move, saying it shows China's growing control over South Africa's decisions. So they are just saying that no, man, South Africa is a B-weight of China at this point. Like, this is what they are saying. They are saying that South Africa, it is a B-weight of China. And another thing that the bill focuses on is South Africa's engagement with Hamas leadership. You know, guys, this is one of those things that actually had pissed me off, man. Like, this had actually pissed me off. The fact that we have the ANC cadres that have engaged with Hamas, but they are not engaging with Hamas like as the ANC. They are engaging with Hamas as representing us as South Africa. They're engaging with these people as representing us as South Africa. And you remember that not a long time ago, man, Fikile Mbalula actually was quite proud that they have met with these people and they have had fruitful conversations with these people. This is a post by Fikile Mbalula that he made quite a long time ago. And it says that this afternoon, the ANC delegation and the General Secretary of SACP, Keida Sulimapaila, held a bilateral meeting with Hamas and Fatah delegations of Palestine at Chief Albert Luthuli House. So you might just ask yourself, what is it that the ANC was actually hoping to get from this meeting? What is it exactly that the ANC is hoping to get from this meeting? Because again, if these people claim to be so non-aligned, why are they aligning with Hamas? This is one thing that I don't understand, because they are quick to say that, but what Israel is doing in Gaza, it is not okay. But they are saying nothing about what Hamas did in Israel. And this is what we should understand as South Africans. Because if you are non-aligned and you are willing to stand there on that fence, you should say that we condemn Hamas for what they did on the October 7th, and we are condemning the actions of Israel right now. That would be fair. That would be fair. But for you to play pussyfoot with Hamas and be close with Hamas and saying that only Israel is wrong and saying nothing about the actions of October the 7th, it just shows you like as a hypocrite. It just shows you as a hypocrite. And the ANC, of course, they don't care. The ANC doesn't care. They don't care. These people, they think they are representing us as South Africans. They think they are representing us as South Africans. Guys, you know, one of the things that the ANC has been quite firm on their critics that they've been getting from the Americans, and this is the reason why. You remember that for the previous foreign minister Naledi Pandor used to push back a lot against the United States. I remember, man, this is a clip that I actually came across on the and this clip still says a lot, because this is the same position that the ANC is still holding till today.
There's almost an implication that when America holds a particular position, South Africa must follow. And it's very interesting that other countries that share the perspectives that South Africa hold are not being, dealt with in the way that we are. So I don't know whether it's because we're Africans or some other reason. It might be also the fact of the...
And guys, you know, when it comes to this whole matter of Israel and Palestine, is that you have a lot of countries in the Middle East. And some of these countries, of course, they have released the statements to condemn this and to condemn one side and to condemn the other side. They've been, a lot of things have actually been said, but none of those countries went as far as taking Israel to the International Court of Justice. And these are the people in the Middle East. These are the people that actually understand this conflict very well, because this conflict between the Hamas and the Israelis started a long time ago. So when we are looking at the people in the Middle East, we are looking at the people that actually understands this very well. But none of them have actually taken Israel to the International Court of Justice. And a lot of them, they are still refusing to take the refugees of Hamas. Then ask yourself, why are countries like Egypt saying that, no, we don't want anything to do with those people that come from the Palestine. We don't want anything to do with that. Why are countries in the Middle East not accepting these refugees from Palestine? Why? These are just some of the things that you should ask yourself. Then we have South Africa, we have the ANC comrades thinking that, okay, now that everybody is standing on the side, we can actually take this matter. We can actually take this matter because we actually care. I mean, like, it is laughable, man. It is laughable. We don't know nothing about that history compared to the people that have been there for thousands of years. I don't think that the South African officials, they understand that history as much as the people there in the Middle East. You know, if there were countries in the Middle East that have taken Israel to the International Court of Justice, I would say that, okay, maybe this is a bit fair, because now you have the countries that are surrounding Israel, and these countries that have taken Israel to the International Court of Justice, but those countries are doing nothing. But you have South Africa from the bottom tip of this world, and these people are saying, we need to take these people to the International Court of Justice. Who is actually funding these people? Who is funding these people to take some of these ridiculous positions? And the comrades, like I said, guys, the comrades don't care. They don't care. They don't care about the business. You know, these people are always told about the business. They're always told about the employment and the people that could lose their jobs potentially because of these positions that they are taking. They don't care because the comrades have their assets. The comrades are billionaires. So they don't care about you and I. They don't care about you and I. So a lot of people are still going to suffer because of the actions of these people. Absolutely pathetic.
Dealt with in the way that we are. So I don't know whether it's because we're Africans or some other reason. It might be also the fact of the stance we've taken with response to the current war of Israel, which is being visited upon the people of Palestine most harshly and painfully, and the fact that we've approached the International Court of Justice may be causing some discomfort and disquiet. We are an important partner for the United States of America, as they are for us. And so I do hope that we will be able to repair the relationship and continue on the established basis that we've built up over many years.
So you believe South Africa's decision to take Israel to the International Court of Justice is a primary reason for the tenseness of the relationship?
Well, certainly this is mentioned in a number of resolutions. You may be aware there was a letter, a type of petition letter, by over 200 legislators across the party lines, so a bipartisan letter which alleged disquiet at the fact that South Africa doesn't support Israel and supports Palestine. And then going beyond that, to even as the bill does, claim that the African National Congress has some form of partnership with Hamas. This is entirely untrue. It's also...
What do you mean it is untrue? What do you mean it is untrue? And by the way, guys, when are we taking the ANC to the International Court of Justice because of the crimes that they have committed in this country? Because every time when you listen to these ANC cadres speaking with the international media, they are pretending like we are holier than thou, we are better than everybody else, and we have done no wrong. And we are taking this position because we believe in this position. When are South Africans actually taking these people to the International Court of Justice for the treason that they have committed in this country? Because at this point, nobody can actually convince me that the ANC has not committed treason in this country. These people have committed treason over and over again. They have actively acted against the interest of this country. But this is what these people have done. But when you listen to the likes of Naledi Pandor out there speaking with the international media, you would swear that these people actually have their things in order here at home. Like, it makes me sick every time when I listen to these people speak about the international matters. It makes me sick.
Also related to the non-aligned stance we've taken with...
There's no non-aligned stance if you have actually taken a position. There's no non-alliance if you have taken a position. You guys have taken the position. You have taken the position. That's why I'm saying that if these people actually had some sort of, I don't know, they would actually say that we condemn Hamas for what they did on the October 7th because they killed a lot of Israelis. They killed these people like barbarians. This is what Hamas had actually done. And we also condemn the Israel because we think that their retaliation has been quite harsh on the people of Palestine. This is what somebody who is non-aligned would actually say. But the ANC always picks up the position, always takes the positions and come out and say that we are non-aligned. You remember even with the war in Ukraine? The war in Ukraine, they are standing with Russia. But still, somehow, they still want the South Africans to believe that we are non-aligned. There's no such thing that we are non-aligned. You are standing with China over Taiwan. You are not non-aligned. You are not that. You are not dead. So stop saying that you guys are non-aligned. You are aligned. You are aligned. Maybe I could respect you guys a bit more if you would actually put it on your chest and say that, yeah, we know that we are accusing Israel and saying that Israel does not want Palestine to exist. But at the same time, we are supporting China, the same China that says that Taiwan should not exist. We are hypocrites. We understand that. We understand that. I mean, the judgment would be less harsh. Just like with the Americans have been quite clear on their stance with Israel to say that, okay, we want to work out a deal between these people. But at the same time, you have to understand that we are on the side of Israel. They have not been shy to say that as much as we would like to resolve this conflict, but we are on the side of Israel. But now you have the South African politicians that are lying, taking sides, and telling South Africans that they are non-aligned.
With respect to Russia and Ukraine, where South Africa continues to talk to both countries, to the leaders of both, to attempt to persuade that they should agree to arrive at a point where they sit around a common table and begin to discuss what the negotiated settlement may look like with full respect.
And guys, don't you find it a bit funny that these people are concerned about the wars that are happening far away? We are in Africa. How many wars are happening right now in Africa as we speak? How many wars are happening in Africa as we speak? Have you ever actually heard these people saying something about a war that is happening here in Africa? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So everything that these people are doing is just grandstanding. They are not doing it because they are genuine about how they feel. They are doing it because they want to appear as somehow kind of important. This is the only reason why they are doing it. Because if these people actually cared about the wars, if these people hated the war so much, they would actually start here at home in Africa. And they would start here at home in South Africa because there are wars that are happening in this country. And there are wars. General Ntatla Mkhwanazi told us that the people are being slaughtered left, right, and center because of the drug syndicates and all of that. You look there in the Western Cape, you look at the Cape Flats, you look at the crime that is happening there, you look at KZN, you look at Johannesburg. Major crimes are happening. And these people have not paid not even the close attention to that. But somehow they are jetting off, going outside and trying to speak with the people outside and to tell them that you guys should stop fighting. How can you tell the people to stop fighting outside, whereas you are failing to tell the people to stop fighting here at home?
For all the provisions of the United Nations Charter.
South Africa has strong relationships with Russia, with China. Couldn't this be of advantage to the United States in terms of forging links with these countries?
Our underlying fundamental philosophy in foreign policy is we always seek peace. We always seek negotiation. We are mandated by the Freedom Charter of South Africa to always pursue international peace and friendship, and that is how we've conducted them ourselves. Of course, having been a people who suffered under the oppression of apartheid, we reject oppression wherever we find it.
No, you don't reject the oppression against the people of this country because the ANC has been oppressing the people of this country for the past 30 years. They have been oppressing the people of this country for the past 30 years. But you don't object to that. You don't object to that. So guys, another thing that this bill is saying, the reasons for this bill, and this is the last one, it is the South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. So we have already discussed this one. So the current status is that the past U.S. House Committee on Foreign Affairs, or the bill passed the U.S. House Committee on Foreign Affairs with a majority support, moving closer to becoming law, but still needing further approval from Congress and the President. So the views of the people that are supporting this bill is that the bill is a way to reset expectations and hold South Africa accountable for aligning with authoritarian regimes and moving away from the U.S. interest. Alignment is that the bill is set to support President Trump's foreign policy goals. I mean, of course, Trump is going to look at this bill to say that. But I have been saying for a very long time that those corrupt ANC comrades are anti-Americans. So let's go to them and hit them hard. Let's go to them and hit them hard. So what this means is that for the U.S.-South Africa relations, if the bill becomes the law, it could strain the relationship between the two countries. The U.S. might impose sanctions on specific South African officials, limiting their ability to travel or to do business in the U.S. The review could lead to changes in trade, aid, or diplomatic cooperation. For South Africa, targeted officials might face personal consequences, and South Africa could face broader pressures to change its foreign policy, especially its ties with China, Russia, and others. This could affect South Africa's economy or global standing if the US reduces the support. So, for the United States, the bill reflects a tougher stance on countries seen as aligning with the US rivals. It's part of a broader effort to push back against the nations that don't align with the American interest. So the next step is that the bill must pass further votes in the House, Senate, and be signed by the president to become the law. It could still be changed or stopped along the way. So I guess when they say that it could still be changed or stopped along the way, I think they are talking about the Congress, the midterms, that if the Democrats actually have the House, this bill could be stopped. This bill could be stopped. So of course, the president of this country has actually reacted to the news that they might actually get sanctioned, man. He has reacted to the news that the assets that they have gotten fraudulently might be frozen. And of course, Ramaphosa is shocked. This guy is always shocked with everything. Just listen to the pathetic response of the president to these matters.
Happened in a House committee, and that whole process still has a long way to go, and discussions will be ongoing. And we don't know exactly what is driving all this.
So right now, the South African government is actually looking at the midterms and hoping that the Republicans lose the House. This is what Ramaphosa sounds like right now. Like it could still take a long way. No, these people are just saying like they are crossing fingers for the Democrats to take the House in the upcoming mid-elections, because in the midterms, because if the Republicans retain the Congress in the midterms, man, it's going to get bad for these people, man. It's going to get bad.
Happened in a House committee, and that whole process still has a long way to go, and discussions will be ongoing, and we don't know exactly what is driving all this. And our bilateral...
Ramaphosa says that they don't know what is exactly driving this. So let's help the president, guys. Because, of course, the president is not aware of anything. I mean, like, this is the president that we have in this country. This guy is not aware of anything that is happening in this country. So, President Ramaphosa, these are the reasons for the bill. Number one, concerns over South Africa's close ties with China, Russia, Iran, Hamas, which some US lawmakers see as anti-American. Number two, South Africa's joint military exercises with China. Number three, South Africa's downgrade of diplomatic ties with Taiwan. Number four, South Africa's engagement with Hamas leadership. And number five, South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. So I don't know what the president is saying when he says that they don't know. They don't know what this is all about.
Discussions will be ongoing, and we don't know exactly what is driving all this. And our bilateral dealings and engagements with the United States will continue. And we will talk about all manner of things, including precisely this issue and many others. We've got good diplomatic relations with the US, and we want to enrich them and make them better. So
no, man, you don't have good diplomatic relations with the US. You don't have good diplomatic ties with relations with the US. You don't. And it seems like that trip that Ramaphosa took to the White House, it was for nothing. It was for nothing. You remember Ramaphosa and his people like begging the United States to say that, please, we need your assistance, man. We need your assistance. Things are bad in this country. It seems like that meeting was for nothing. And how can the president stand there and say that we have good relations with the United States? How can he say that?
So we are very positive that the outcomes of our engagement with the United States will be comprehensive and all-encompassing, so that we can return to good dealings with the United States. Thank you.
Man, Ramaphosa lives in the Bible, man. Like, he lives in that bubble, man. That elitist bubble. It's not like, how can you stand there and listen to the president? Just look at the face of this guy, man. This guy's like, man, the president is talking nonsense, man. Like, look at him. It's like the president is talking nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. So not only the president has reacted, because I think this is the official response of the government, the ANC itself has also responded, and their obnoxious spokesperson Mahlengi Butsiri was speaking with Tlamini Manyathela, and this is what she has to say.
You know, I've been struggling with responding to this question about worry in the past 2 days, precisely because we are here dealing with a threat to national sovereignty that should be of concern and should be seriously noted. And I think the response from the side of the ANC will be that we are seriously noting the developments in the USA, and this, of course, not being the first. There has been a spate of things that even provoked the president seeking a conversation with President Trump. And we all know how that went. And so back to your question, it is less about worry, but more about let the world see things for what they are and for who they are in this context. There can be no justification whatsoever for a government, a country taking a decision to impose sanctions on the leaders of the African National Congress. Whatever you may think or say.
Guys, you know, I don't know if it was yesterday. I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he was talking to me about these videos that I make. And he was like, Thomas, can you just keep a straight face for 2 minutes when you are listening to these people? And it's quite impossible to listen to these people and keep a straight face. This woman says that there can be no justification for the sanctions against the ANC comrades. There is no justification for that. They are the victims now. There is no justification for that.
Or a government, a country taking a decision to impose sanctions on the leaders of the African National Congress. Whatever.
Oh man, the spokesperson of the ANC is quite worried, man, about traveling to the West. They are quite worried about their children that are studying in the West. They are quite worried about the assets that they've gotten fraudulently. They are concerned about it.
You may think or say about the ANC. The ANC still remains that liberation movement that led the freedom struggle to emancipate the people, working with the people of South Africa to emancipate them. And the next struggle is to ensure that there's full economic emancipation.
Yeah.
The ANC has always stood on the side of
the full economic emancipation when these people are basically chasing the companies out of this country. I don't know, where do these people live? Because if you look at the numbers are getting worse. More and more South Africans are losing their jobs. So what do you mean when you talk about the economic emancipation? People are losing their jobs. It's not like things are getting better. And you guys can actually stand there proudly to say that, yeah, this is what the ANC is standing for. We are standing for the full economic emancipation of the people of this country. People are losing their jobs. People are losing their livelihoods. And this is the fault of the ANC government. That cannot even keep the lights on. That cannot even give the people the water. But she wants you to believe that the ANC is doing everything in their power to make sure that the people of this country are economically free.
Those that are oppressed elsewhere in the world. I talk here about Western Sahara, the Sahrawi people. I talk here about the campaigns, ceaseless campaigns to call for the lifting of the economic and other embargoes against Cuba by the same United States. I'm talking here about the genocide in Gaza that is perpetuated by the apartheid state of Israel that is strongly allied to the United States. And so if you were to trace the track record, performance record of the African National Congress, in as far as promoting that injunction in the Freedom Charter, whose 70 years anniversary is celebrating, there shall be peace and friendship. And I would add, and solidarity.
Yeah.
We've remained true to that particular injunction.
And the US doesn't seem to be happy. I mean, speaking of friendship, doesn't seem to be happy with some of the relationships this government has with other countries. I mean, this bill directs the US government to reevaluate diplomatic, trade, and military ties with South Africa. And they're citing the engagement South Africa has had with global powers like Russia, China, and they're mentioning Iran as well. As the ANC, does this make you change your position about the relations you have
Of course
with
not.
these countries? Because what's surprising here is that the US can sit down and talk to Russia, they can sit down and talk to China, but we can't.
It's a case of a serious hypocrisy. It's a case.
No, man, there's a difference between sitting down and speaking with people for business, and there's a difference between hugging and kissing. I don't know why Clement Manyathela is being so disingenuous, because the relationship of America, Russia, and China is quite different from the relationship that the ANC, I don't want to say South Africa, the ANC is having with China and Russia and Hamas. It's different. So it is quite disingenuous to sit there and try to pretend like these are the same. They can talk to them, we cannot talk to them. We are not just talking to them. We are hugging and kissing them, and we are following their instructions. It is not the same.
Case of double standards. And I don't use those words lightly. They're quite measured, in fact, because I think it is worse than that. Have a look at the transactional relationship that President Trump has been having with countries since he assumed his current tenure. Have a look at the fact that South Africa has never made it unknown that we stand for multilateralism. We stand for a world where the playing fields are leveled in favor of poorer countries, countries in the global south that continue to try and recover from the ravages of colonialism. We've never been shied away from mentioning all of those things. We've never shied away from our leading role in the BRICS community of nations. We've never shied away from our position on the issue of Palestine. Hence, as a small country on the southern tip of Africa, took the matter to the International Court of Justice, a totally unprecedented step, and managed to do that because we believed in the moral high ground of that particular position, and also to be true.
Just imagine, man, the ANC talking about the moral high ground. Where does the ANC get the audacity to speak about the moral high ground? Where do these people actually get the audacity to speak about that? This is the ANC that we are talking about, guys. This is the ANC that we are talking about.
True to the expectations of our forebears. And so I do believe that all opinion makers and media individuals and colleagues, such as in your role, Clemens, really ought to be finding out from some of your colleagues, your peers, your opinion makers
leave us alone.
in the US, also about what are their stances, because the voices are very muted even in the US. But we are comforted in the fact that we continue to engage with some of our historic allies in the anti-apartheid movement.
But do we have any presence? Does our government have any presence in the US, Mahlengi? Because if you talk to people that are in DC, they're suggesting that the only prevailing narrative is this one from these lawmakers who are pushing all these agendas against South Africa. And one wonders if we are not on a back foot here. Like, for instance, Mcebisi Jonas, we don't know if he has been to the US yet. Is he there now? Who is talking on our behalf and representing our voice? There's a vacuum.
Well, I'd like to defer on that to government so that we also avoid the whole thing about the conflation of party and state. But I do wish to say that it is my belief, it is our belief as the ANC, that the Department of International Relations and Cooperation is hard at work working with counterparts at trade, industry, and competition, including these matters that are being ventilated by President Trump in public. And yet there are negotiating teams that are working, as we know. And that is just a fact.
I don't know, guys. I don't know, man. This is the ANC. I don't know. This is the ANC. ANC. I don't know, guys. What do you think, man? What do you think about the response from the president? What do you think about the response from the ANC? And I think that President Trump can actually impose sanctions on these people without that bill. Please tell me if I'm not mistaken, guys. I think that President Trump does not actually need a bill. As the president, I think he can actually impose sanctions on these people. I mean, like, South Africans have been quite helpless against these people for the past 30 years. They have been protecting each other like nobody's business. This is what the ANC has done. And they've been doing it in our faces. They've been rubbing their dirty actions on our faces. And they've been telling South Africans that there's nothing you can do, basically. There's nothing that you can do. So, how do you feel about this bill that is being discussed in Congress? And when would you like to see it implemented? Please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.